This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Always appreciate talking with Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation on halftime or off the air, wherever it is that we get a chance to talk with her. Alyssa, good afternoon. How's your world?
Good afternoon. Pretty good. I'm sitting at Paradise Valley Country Club. Finn is at golf camp today, so day 3 of golf camp.
I hear birds chirping in the background, so I wondered what was going on there.
Paradise is nice. I played it out there. What was that? The Arkansas, the scramble deal a couple months ago. And so it's how's it look out there? Yeah.
No, it looks good, and the storm came through. Still looks good. Saul grew up on this golf course playing, so he's been a member for a long, long time, and Finn is now kind of trying to take the game up too.
So does he have a future in the sport, or is there another sport
Possibly.
that Finn is?
Will he watch the U.S. Open at all?
He will. He loves watching that stuff with his dad. He knows who like John Rahm is and Brooks Koepka and Tiger Woods and stuff like that. Saul's whole family played golf. Saul played at Arkansas State, and so we'll see if he picks it up. He's got a lot of pedigree in it, but he said the other day at his kindergarten graduation he wanted to be a baseball player. So
good for him. Good for him. That's more down your alley there.
Mom was proud.
That's got to be something that your father was happy to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Saul looked at me and I was like, I don't know.
It's all right. At least it's sports, right? It's something
exactly,
involved in sports.
Sure. Whatever he wants to do, sure.
Did you make it to Oklahoma City to watch Florida State lose to the Oklahoma Sooners in the Women's College World Series?
I did not. And honestly, hindsight, kind of glad that I didn't, because that would have been really sad. It would have been a really long day for me. But, watched it at home, and I don't know. I mean, I think you can make an argument that Oklahoma softball might be one of the best dynasties in college sports, not just college softball. And I know Alabama football has a really, really good argument there, too. But what they have done over there under Patty Gasso is incredible.
And we're talking about the football schedule a little bit. So will they get to play Oklahoma in the softball coming up? Whenever will they be a permanent opponent? Is that a good thing, Alyssa?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you would love, iron sharpens iron is what everyone says, and so you would love to play some of the best. I think it also kind of gives you a bar of where Arkansas and that program is and where Oklahoma is and how far Arkansas needs to go and that gap, big or small, to kind of get to that level. But I think it'll really bring a good competitive edge to have Oklahoma play Arkansas every year. I'd love that.
Well, what about in football? I mean, there are a lot of people. Look, I would love to see, and it's going to happen. This is what I think happens: that Arkansas-Texas is an annual game, and it should be. There's just too much history to not have that go down. But there's another potential rivalry with Oklahoma that just has never really been tested. I mean, they're right there. We're right there next to them. It's one of the closest major Division I schools to Fayetteville in Norman. Mm-hmm. And yet there just isn't a lot of history football-wise, regular season, between those two programs. I mean, even in baseball, I don't think they've played each other all that much. We've had the back and forth the last couple of years in basketball, but, man, we go so hard on Texas. Oklahoma's right there, and that could be a fantastic school-against-school rivalry in all the sports.
Yeah, I think it would be really fun. And maybe it's been overlooked because, like you said, Texas has been people's focus for so long because it was Arkansas, Texas for so long under Frank Broyles. But like you said, I mean, I think basketball kind of set the tone, playing them back-to-back years over in Tulsa. And those matches were heated, and Arkansas got beaten both of them. And so, I think you can build a rivalry a little bit. When you're tested, you're beaten, and then you want to beat them back, and you continue for that to grow on all fronts, football, basketball, baseball, softball. I'd be all for it. And it's just 3.5 hours. It'd be really, really good for fans.
Well, it'd be good for Oklahoma, too. Just think about what they're leaving from the Big 12. They're taking their number one rival with them. Little brother Oklahoma State's on the side like, hey, what about us? Yeah, they're not going to be playing them anymore. Bedlam will not be an annual thing any longer.
That's the first. Whoa!
So they need somebody to replace that. I mean, you're not going to automatically be like, "Hey, here's your big rival." Now, make a big deal out of it. But Arkansas would be a logical choice in that case.
Yeah, I would really love for the SEC to kind of do what they did to Arkansas and Missouri a couple of years ago when Texas A&M joined the league, and then they were like, well, we're going to take LSU from you and give you Missouri, that they can be like, well, we're going to take Missouri away from you and give you Oklahoma. I think Arkansas fans would much more prefer that one.
Does Oklahoma and Texas? I know they bring a lot in football, drives, everything. But on the other sports, do they have a good track programs? How's the women's athletics? Are they bringing? They're 2 5-star athletes that are coming to the SEC.
Yeah, you look at Texas, just because that was the first one you mentioned. They just won the women's outdoor national championship in track and field. They're very, very talented there. Vic Schaefer's their head coach for basketball, and I know very familiar with the SEC. They've had success there on the women's basketball front. Softball came to Arkansas last year and beat them in the Supers. They did not get that far this year, but they're still a contender there. So I think from a women's perspective, and then you look at men's golf. You look at some of the pro golfers like Jordan Spieth and Scotty Scheffler, who have come from Texas. They've got a lot of talent down there that sometimes gets overlooked in those smaller sports, but they're bringing not just football and men's basketball to the table, but they're bringing an entire lineup of sports that can compete in the SEC.
So one of the major topics of conversation that drives college sports radio is transfer portal and what teams will look like in the future, and that's been a major thing that we've gotten into as far as football, men's basketball, baseball. I mean, who knows what the baseball team looks like next year? We'll have a much better idea in, I think, a couple of months after the draft. Who's signed and who hasn't signed. A program that we haven't talked about with that at all, because it isn't a deal, it isn't like a thing, is women's basketball. Nabes' team, they lost Aaron Barnum and Riley Langerman in the transfer portal, but they're bringing in a really talented recruiting class. They're getting Sasha Goforth back after sitting out a year. So it's not like they had to build through the portal. It's just they're the outlier amongst the programs that we usually discuss about here, as far as not a single incoming transfer, not one, which has to make them an outlier, not just amongst Arkansas, but around the country in the SEC.
Yeah, I got to visit with Neighbors a little bit yesterday, actually, because I went over there and did something with him for a Father's Day piece. And talked to him a little bit, and I know that Ethan Westerman just wrote that article about, why they're not taking transfers and how they have faith in the roster that they have and the players that they have. And just briefly, he just kind of mentioned, we have faith in who we had, Jersey, Miriam. They look at that and they see that they didn't bring anyone in because they trust me. And, we're not bringing anyone in because we trust our recruiting. And it's hard. It's hard not to look at the transfer portal and see something shiny and talented and want to recruit them, but their approach is more honoring the kids that they have right now, and they don't feel like they need to go the transfer portal route this year to make them a strong roster, and I respect that. We've seen them do that. They got Chelsea Dungy, they got Amber Ramirez, Destiny Slocum. You have Sasha Goforth come back after transferring from Oregon State, but she's a local. So it's not like they're ignoring the transfer portal, but I think that's a really good approach of understanding when it's needed to strengthen your team and when sometimes you just leave it alone because you don't need it.
I love that you're talking to Nabes about Father's Day because, he's got that really unique situation as far as, two older kids in their 20s and then the two little ones. Father's Day is coming up, of course, and I know you've had a great. Your father has a lot to do, I think, with your love of sports and why you got into the business you get into. So, this is a pretty important weekend for you, and I know for Saw as well.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I'm not sure exactly what Saul wants to do, but it's usually kind of like with Mother's Day. It's I get to kind of pick what we do, and Saul gets to pick what he wants to do, and I have a good feeling that he'll want to golf in some form or fashion. So that'll be really, really fun. And, tip the cap to my dad. He has a lot of influence not only on my love of sports and the industry that I'm in. He was in television when I was younger, so I grew up in a newsroom and had influence there. And also I'm a really big history buff, and that came from my dad, too. And was really proud of my dad. He was in Detroit with my stepmom and stepsister. They went to the Taylor Swift concert. My dad went and sat front row of the Detroit Tigers game against the Diamondbacks with his Arkansas baseball shirt on.
So I saw that photo that you'd put on your Twitter feed. There, that's That's knowing TV for one, and knowing he would stand out wearing red in a ballpark where there's no red. Very, well done.
Yes, I was very proud of him. I said, it's unfortunate that Dominic Fletcher is not there right now because he would have probably said something to you, but also really trying to root for those Diamondbacks to lose, which they didn't. But, we need all the help we can get over there.
Yeah, I guess you do.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your championship finals info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA and Stanley Cup Finals. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs, from baseball and hockey to MLB, UFC, and boxing. The fastest and easiest way to get all your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Get in the action today. Head over to our website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.